Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sewing up the Fort Worth Fabric Studio Stay Spooky Week 2. As you can see, last week's blocks are on the wall behind me. They're the little houses, and yes, I made a mistake last week, but I saw it as soon as I put my video up, and I fixed it. But I could have gone back and made a new video, but you know what? We're not perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, so I decided to leave it in there. I'm human just like you guys. And I did fix it, and thank you all for pointing it out, though. I know a lot of you said, you have a house wrong. Thank you, I knew. But I do appreciate that, because if I wouldn't have caught it and I would have sewed it into the quilt, I would have been a little bit upset. Luckily, it was a really easy fix. Upset with myself. Luckily, it was a really easy fix. I just had to take the roof unit off and turn the house. I was just making a house for my friends down in Australia, because being from North America, isn't all the houses on the opposite side of the world upside down? Anyway, just kidding. So this week we're going to do the Churn Dash pumpkin blocks. We're going to make 8 blocks altogether. There's going to be 2 different kinds of pumpkins. The pumpkins are going to look the same, just 2 different fabrics. So that's the only difference. But I love a Churn Dash block. I love them. So I'm really excited that I've never seen a pumpkin made with a Churn Dash. So I'm really excited to make these blocks. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that the directions say to do is to take your 5-inch background squares and your 5-inch print of the words and also the orange plaid, and we're going to make 4 half square triangles from each one using the 4 at a time method. That's a mouthful. So we're going to put these right sides together, and you're going to do all of them for all of the words and all of the plaids. I've already done the plaids just to make time go a little bit faster. The plaids are going to be part of the stem unit for the pumpkin, and then these words are going to be part of the Churn Dash part of the pumpkin. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So the way we do the 4 at a time method is you sew 1/4 inch all the way around all 4 of the outsides. So no drawing. I like this method of doing half square triangles if you may have to make a lot of half square triangles, because they can take quite a bit of time, as we all know. So I'm just sewing 1/4 inch all the way around. I'm not even going to break my thread. I'm just going to pull this out a little bit, turn it, and start on the next side. You could always draw your lines to make the 1/4 inch all the way around if you'd like, and just follow the lines. If you do that, you could probably just pivot on the line rather than pulling the thread out. So you're going to do all of these 4 at a time this way. And once you've got it all sewn together all the way around, we're going to cut this thing apart. So I'm going to start by cutting this. We're going to cut it both diagonal ways, so this way and this way. So if you've got a rotating cutting mat, now would be a good time to use it. So I'm going to cut it apart that way first, and then I'm going to turn this mat and cut it apart the other way. And that has created 4 pieces. I'm going to close that. And those are 4 half square triangles. Now we're going to press these guys, so I'm going to finger press them right now. Before I'm waiting for my, let's see if my iron's hot over here. Yeah, it looks like it. I'm going to finger press these guys real quick, and then I'll grab my ironing board and my iron, and we'll press them for real. I just like to finger press them a little bit first. I feel like they behave more on the iron when I press them with the iron, if I finger press them more first, a little bit first. Okay. After we press them, then we're going to trim them down, but let's give them a press first. And I'm going to get my handy dandy acorn, or lovingly magic juice. I'm loving this so far. I love for Fabric Studios projects. They always come up with cute things. And I like that this month we're back to like a rectangular quilt. We've done a lot of square quilts. which I do like square quilts. I really don't honestly care either way, which way they are. I know some people have strong opinions either direction, but I like them both. But we haven't done a rectangular quilt for a while. We've been all out square quilts, so it's been fun. This time's rectangular. Okay. And I'm really excited to see this all together and then take it in the dark and see it glow in the dark. It's going to be fun. I think the kids are really going to like that. Okay, so those are all pressed. Now we're going to trim those, and we're going to trim those down to 3.5 inches square. So I'm going to grab my ruler, turn it the right way. I'm going to find that 45-degree line on my ruler, line it up right on that seam that I just sewed, and trim this guy. Now I always trim all 4 sides. I start with 2 to get the straight side, and then now I can just line it up on the 3-inch mark and trim the other sides. Okay. Do the same thing with these ones. So don't forget to do all of the 5-inch squares. You should be using all of them for this part. The words and the pumpkins. I mean, I'm sorry, not the pumpkins, the words and the plaid, the orange plaid. There's only 2 of the plaid squares as opposed to 8 of the words, so you're going to have quite a bit more of the words to trim. And that's why I did some ahead of time, because I don't think you guys would want to sit here and watch me trim a million half square triangles, because that's quite a bit of half square triangles. It's 40, I guess. Yeah, because 8, right? 8 and 2 of 5-inch, and then each has 4, so that's 10 times 4. Yeah, so 40 half square triangles. That would take a while. And I did make a couple of pumpkins ahead of time, and it does. This is not a fast week, that's for sure. So don't feel like you need to get this done in 20 minutes, because I don't think you're going to be able to. Just all the trimming of the half square triangles takes a while. I need to put a new blade in this rotary cutter. I think I said that last time. I need to actually do it this time. I don't know why we wait so long. I think because they're expensive, so we try to get as much use out of them as possible. But when the fabric starts sticking, or threads stay like that, and you're trying to pick it off, it's definitely time. Okay. So I've got those trimmed. So the next thing we're going to do, and there's really not... Here's the paper, and I know that you guys at home can't really see it very well because the light shines off, but I can't help that. I need light to see what I'm doing. So that was, somebody mentioned that last week, but I really can't help that. But here's what the first thing we did. And as you can see, that's really all the instructions. The rest all just basically says, like, assemble it together how you prefer. So I'm going to show you what I did. Because the instructions are kind of vague, and that's okay. And these should measure 12.5 inches square when you're done, just to let you know that. Now you're going to make 4 of them, and I know I didn't print this in color. Sorry, my color printer is not working. You're going to make 4 of them with this ghost fabric, which is one of the glow-in-the-dark fabrics, and you're going to make 4 of them with the white plaid fabric. Now, the printed fabrics, the ghosts and the plaid, the white plaid, not the orange plaid. The orange plaid is the stem up here, or the leaf up here, I should say. The stem is the pumpkin faces. Those should be touching the center orange dot, and I'll show you that in a minute. So just make sure when you're sewing these together that the orange dot is the outside of the pumpkins right here, and the inside. So make sure you've got the print touching the inside. Okay, so I will show you how I assembled these, because like I said, the instructions were a little vague, and that's okay. Pretty much said assemble how you want, so I'm going to show you how I did it. So I'm going to grab all these pieces. I'm going to put the stem together first so we can get that done and out of the way. So to make your stem, you're going to need the background rectangle. Let me see if I can find that dimension. I think it's the 3 by 5.5. You're going to grab the little pumpkin face stem, the black. Then you're going to take the plaid, which was one of the squares that we did the 4 at a time, half square triangles, and you're going to line it up there. And then you're going to take the last piece of background fabric and you're going to line it there. So we're going to sew all these in a row. As you can see, that makes your stem and your leaf unit. So let's do that first. We'll get that done and out of the way, and then we can move on to the pumpkin. The actual sewing doesn't take that long. It's cutting and trimming all the half square triangles. That takes a while. So the sewing isn't bad at all. It's actually fun because I love pumpkins, so I love seeing them come together. So that's really fun for me. Okay, and no, I'm not pressing in between. I'll go press all this in a minute once I get to the point where I have a bunch of things to press, because as I discovered in making the first couple, you press a lot with this block. So that is the top of your pumpkin, so your stem and leaf piece. So I'm going to set this here for a second. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these little strips. Now this is part of the pumpkin, sides of the pumpkin, the churn dash kind of part of this block. So I'm going to match up the same size of our orange dot fabric with the same size as our print fabric. We're going to sew these together in pairs. So that goes together, that, and that. Okay. So this is where all that pressing comes into play. There's a bunch of pressing. So I like to, when I'm sewing like this, sew a bunch of things together, as many as I can, then press, and then go back and do like the next step. It just saves some time. Rather than pressing between each individual thing. So that's why I didn't press this yet, but we'll press it when we press these guys. Have you guys made a turn dash block before? I have, and I really love them. I've never made a whole quilt out of them though, and I think that's something I want to do in the future, because I just think they're very classic and just so pretty, and they go together really fast. This quilt is just in time, like these colors just for fall. I'm loving these plaids. It's just started, as you can tell, I have my hoodie on. It's just started getting chilly here in Ohio. Probably not everywhere. I know some people that are from Texas and other places have said it's still pretty hot, but here in Ohio it's gotten cool. At nighttime, definitely, we keep the windows open, and it's only been in like the 60s and 70s during the day. So it's really cooled off here, but I love this kind of weather. Fall is my favorite season. I love it when it's a little bit cooler, but not cold. And I love all the colors of fall. So this quilt is really speaking to me. I'm really loving these oranges and plaids. I think they're just so pretty. All right, so I'm gonna just give all these a press. I think I have to heat my iron back up a little bit. Put my iron back and heat it up. That's the only bad thing about a cordless iron, is sometimes you have to wait for it to heat up. But other than that, I like it. It's nice not being tethered to a cord. As I'm waiting for that, I'm just putting some magic juice on the top stem piece so I can also give this guy a press. I'm just going to press it all one direction just to make it easy, because it doesn't need to match seams with anything on the body of the pumpkin, so it doesn't really matter which way you press it. Okay. Oh, that's much better. So much hotter. Now that I refreshed that. The way that cordless irons work is they go on a little charging sort of stand, and they charge up and they get really hot, and then after you take them off, they, you know, the heat lasts for a bit, but it does go away and you have to recharge it, sort of. But the charging doesn't take long. It's just really a few seconds. If you don't put it on the cradle just right, it's actually sitting there not recharging. So I've done that a couple times and realized that it wasn't right, and then my iron was not. All right, so stem piece is done. This is the center of our pumpkin. So the first thing we're going to do now is take the smaller of the two pieces, because see, these are longer than this one. So set those aside for a minute. The smaller of the two pieces, and remember what I said here, don't put orange to orange, put plaid to orange. And the same thing when you're working on the ghost ones. Make sure the ghosts are touching the orange. And the ghosts are directional. So if you followed the directional cutting guide that Fort Worth Fabric Studio gave us, you should be all set. Just make sure you pay attention when you're putting your pieces on, that you're putting your ghosts, if that bothers you. Directionality bothers me. But we've talked about that before. I'm a little bit OCD, so, you know, I like the directions to go in the right way. So if that doesn't bother you, you can probably just put them on there. But the ghosts are directional, so just FYI, that's one spot. You need to kind of watch out for that. The one thing I do want to say, because I saw some people in the group, in Fort Worth's Facebook group, and I'm not trying to be rude or mean. I hope this doesn't make you feel like I'm being that way or calling people out, because I'm not going to say the person's name or anything like that. But Fort Worth does give us these patterns for free. And, you know, they're busy. And sometimes people make mistakes. So if you see a small mistake, rather than being mean or rude about it, reach out to one of the creators, myself or Kathy, and ask a question, or reach out in the group, but do it in a really nice, kind way. Don't be mean about it. Because, you know, sometimes things get missed when, you know, you're making the thing, making a pattern, editing it. You know, even if you edit it, you can miss details sometimes. And it was a small mistake, not a big deal, and it didn't affect anything, especially if you already cut the piece. It was just a little bigger than what it needed to be. Better be bigger than too small, right? But there's another comment about the cutting diagrams and how people don't like them. I think I only saw one person post that. And I get what they're saying, that maybe they don't like them. And the person also mentioned that they think they could... Okay, the next thing I'm going to do before I add these two to the pumpkin is I'm going to put the little corner pieces on here. Okay, just like that. We're going to add those to these first, and then we'll add that to the pumpkin. But back to what I was talking about. The cutting diagrams are very helpful to, I feel like, brand new quilters. And if you don't like the cutting diagrams, don't use them. I mean, I was actually kind of surprised the person made that comment about, oh, I don't like the cutting diagrams and they're a waste of fabric. And don't forget, Fort Worth Fabric Studio is, again, giving these patterns for free, number one. And number two, we have a lot of new beginner quilters lately in the quilting world, which I think is amazing. And they might need some extra help. Maybe you don't because you're advanced, but maybe they do. And actually, quite frankly, this month with all the directional fabric, I was happy to have the diagram so I knew how to cut my directionals. Because like I said, directional fabrics kind of make my OCD go a little bit nuts. So if they're going the wrong way, so I was very appreciative of having those diagrams. So just saying. If you don't like something, you don't have to do it. But they're giving it to us for free, so let's, you know, be nice about it. And just don't say anything. I write patterns quite frequently for my retreats and for my own work that I do, and I definitely always, you know, welcome constructive criticism, but it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. And Fort Worth Fabric Studio is doing patterns so quickly back to back to give us these fun sew-alongs that let's just keep things as positive as possible so they don't stop giving them to us. All right, that's just my 2 cents, and I will stop talking about that now. All right, so this I'm going to press. Now I pressed the middle section in, so I'm going to press these, I mean out, so I'm going to press these in, so that way they nest when we put them together. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get on my little rant there, but I just don't like it when people complain and when somebody's, you know, giving you something for free. And the complaint was kind of silly. If you don't like the diagram, just don't use it. All right, now I'll stop, I promise. It's hard work to be a pattern writer and shop owner and fabric cutter and, you know, all that. So okay, there we go. All right, now I'm gonna put these back where they belong before I get them mixed up and put one upside down like I did the houses last week. And we're gonna add these guys just like this. So I'm gonna do the top row first. If you do have any, you come across something in one of the patterns that you think is not right or questionable. Somebody did ask me about using fat quarters for, and I can't remember honestly if it was this sew along or the Lilacia Love, which was the last one we just did. I think it might have been on that one. And I am so willing to help anybody who asks a question if I can. But I didn't write these patterns. This is Fort Worth Fabric Studio. So if you have any very specific questions like that, or you're questioning like a size of something, or you think something just doesn't look right, go ahead and send them an email to their customer service and they'll get back to you, because I probably don't know those answers. Like I said, I'm totally willing to help people as much as I can. And if I notice, like on last week's, the black house said make 1 and you're supposed to make 4. That's just a small typo, and I'll mention that. But if it's something big or just something just seems off to me, I will try to answer it, but the best source is the pattern writer, because they know how things are supposed to go together. And especially like if you have a question about using different fabrics from what they've provided, I would love to answer every question about, can I use a layer cake, or can I use a fat quarter bundle, or whatever. But it takes time, because I'd have to sit there and figure out all the math. And like I said, I'm more than willing to help, but I don't have the time to convert all their yardage to particularly like a layer cake or charm pack or something. Now, somebody had asked if they could use a fat quarter bundle for Lilacia Love, and I'm quite sure you could, because I don't think, I think you could definitely get the cuts you needed out of it, but I'm not sure. Again, like, I don't want to tell somebody to do that and then they buy a fat quarter bundle and then it doesn't work, and I would feel really bad if it didn't work for them. So if you have any of those kind of technical questions, I would definitely ask Fort Worth. Now, if you have any questions about what I'm showing you, definitely put your comments down below. I want to help, right? I'm here to help you guys. And And if I make a silly mistake, I have no problem with you being like, haha, you like turn this upside down. Just be really kind about it. I usually catch my mistakes in the playback of the video when I'm getting it ready to put up. And that's how I saw the house that was upside down. But, you know, like I said, I'm human. I make mistakes, and I have no problem with you guys pointing it out. And I actually welcome that, because I would rather know ahead of time before I stuck it in a quilt that I put something upside down. And then instead of discovering it when I put the whole quilt together. And like, once it's in the quilt, if it's an inside block, I am not going to pick it out. So definitely appreciate that. Just remember to be nice about it. That's all. But like I said, completely willing to help you guys. But some things, the technical questions, definitely reach out to Fort Worth Fabric Studio for that. It might take them a little bit to get back to you, because they're busy, but they'll get back to you. Don't forget, they're always busy getting the next pattern ready, getting the next kit ready. They sell notions, fabric, and all kinds of stuff besides these sew-alongs in their shop. So they are filling orders and all those things constantly. So you just got to give them a little bit of time, and they should get back to you. Okay, so I just sewed that 2" by 10" piece on the side after I put my pumpkin all together. And if you're looking at the directionality fabrics, so like I made sure all the words were going the correct direction. Obviously they're slanted, but all the words are going to be pointing the same direction, because, you know, me and my OCD. So this is the body of the pumpkin. You're going to attach that strip to the left hand side of all your pumpkins. So over here, it's on my right now, but if I'm looking at it where the directional fabric is straight up and down, it's to the left hand side. And then we're going to stick our stem piece right on top, just like that. And that's it. We're done. That's our pumpkin block. And you're going to make 4 of these with the white plaid, and then 4 of them with the ghosts. And I did do one of the ghosts ahead of time, so I will show you guys that here in just a second. Okay, there's the pumpkin. I need to press it, but that's the one with the plaid. And here is one with a ghost. And these ghosts are glow in the dark. So if you go take this to a dark room, you can go see it, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. All right, let me press this, and then I will finish all the rest of my blocks, and then I'll come back and show you guys my garden of pumpkins. Ooh, spooky, glow in the dark. Well, thank you so much for sewing along with me. I hope you enjoyed week 2. I love pumpkins, so this was a fun week for me. The like big garden of pumpkins I've got going on behind me in the houses, I just love them. I cannot wait to see what is in store for us for week 3. All right, well, have a great week, and I will see you guys really soon. Take care and stay spooky. Bye.